Hey everyone, and welcome to what, at least at the time of recording this, is going to be the last video in the probability and statistics. And really, so far, we've looked mainly at the statistics side of probability and statistics. And so in this video, we're going to focus specifically on probability. We're not going to take a very deep dive. This is going to be one of the shorter videos in the series. So let's jump right in. So first of all, probability. When we're looking at probability numerically as a number, we're looking at it as a number between 0 and 1. So probability is represented as a number between 0 and 1. And this number line down here shows kind of the scale of what 0 represents and what 1 represents. So 0, if the probability of an event happening is 0, that means that event is impossible. And if the probability of an event is 1, that means that that event is inevitable. That event will happen. So I like to think of probability as a value that describes the likelihood. And again, that value is described as a number between 0 and 1, or 0 is impossible, 1 is inevitable. Now, there's a few different ways that this can be represented. Just like in numbers, there are different ways to represent values that are between numbers. So, for example, in this case, between 0 and 1. And so we might be looking at these values as either or both fraction, decimal, and or a percent. And so I've given a couple values that are actually 3 values that are all the same thing, just represented in different ways. So a probability of an event that's 1 in 4, or 1/4, or a quarter, lots of different ways to say this, or 0.25 or 25 hundredths, different ways to see that, or an event with a probability of 25%. These are all saying the same thing, just represented in different ways. All right, so to calculate the probability, I think the easiest way to do this is to just look at some context, and we're going to calculate probability using context that may look familiar, in context that is very similar to something that you might run into. So to calculate, we've got, wouldn't necessarily call it a formula, but it is kind of a formula of sorts, some instructions here. We're going to take the desired outcome. What are we calculating probability of? And we're going to divide that by the total outcomes possible. So desired outcomes divided by or over total outcomes. Just depends on how we want to represent it. So in this situation, we'll go ahead and represent in all 3 ways. So a bag of marbles contains 5 red, 6 blue, 13 green, and 7 yellow marbles. What is the possibility of choosing either a green? So here's that desired outcome, choosing either a green or yellow. So that is our desired outcome. And then in order to find the total outcomes, we just want to look at everything that is in that entire bag. And in that bag, we have 5 red, 6 blue, 13 green, and 7 yellow. So what is the amount of total possible outcomes we have? Well, we just have the 5 plus the 6 plus the 13 plus the 7. That's giving us our total possible outcomes. And then what's the desired outcome? Well, we're looking for, again, either green or yellow. So where's our green and yellow? We have 13 green and 7 yellow. So we'll just do the 13 green plus the 7 yellow. So again, desired over the total. So we have 20 over, let's see, this here is 20. We know that we just did this here. 5 and 6 is 11. So 20 and 11 makes 31. And then there's a couple of different moves that we could make from here. We could just leave this as a fraction. Our probability is 20 in 31. Depending on our context, depending on what we're asked for, who our audience is, maybe we want to leave it this way. Maybe we want to change it to a different form. So we could just grab a calculator, 20 divided by 31 will give me this as a decimal, 0.645. So I will round that to 0.65. So now we have that same value as a decimal, and then we could also write this as a percent just by moving the decimal 2 places, and then we also get 65%. So now we have the probability of this event happening, of drawing either a green or a yellow marble from the bag, is 20 and 31, which is 6,500 hundredths, 0.65, or 65%. So that's a little bit on what probability is, and then also how to calculate probability.